Hello, you're watching an introductory tutorial to Moody's KMV, offered by Moody's Analytics. Here in the Market Information Lab, we offer two tutorials regarding Moody's KMV. One regards the analysis of how risky a public company is, which is done in Moody's KMV 101, and the other tutorial regards identifying how risky a private company is in KMV 102. The main premise of Moody's KMV is to really understand and identify certain credit risks associated with different investments. The reason why credit analysis is so important is that the credit markets are much larger and extremely diverse compared to equity markets. Compared to equity markets, the credit market doesn't have as much Wall Street coverage and analyst coverage that is published on a day-to-day basis, whereas you can find information about individual equities or stocks in the Wall Street Journal, Capital IQ, or many other publications that are released on a day-to-day basis. The credit markets are extremely unpredictable and dynamic. There's many different factors that go into making a full and complete credit analysis assumption. Credit markets are influenced by a number of factors, and the bottom line is analysts really never know what's happening next. They're influenced by the individual credit cycle, the macro and micro economy, and all different other types of debt securities that make up the credit market. KMV really helps us to understand how companies are viewed and what certain risks are associated with different industries. For example, as you may know, leverage is a huge determining factor when determining how risky a company is. Certain sectors may have different average levels of leverage. For example, you may find that a company with strong, steady cash flows, for example, maybe a utilities company, can handle a lot more leverage than, say, a technology company that has volatile revenue streams and is unable to have an accurate prediction of performance later down the road. All these different factors is what makes KMV so extremely valuable. KMV and KMV's analytics makes the credit analysis process extremely efficient. KMV aggregates news articles, updates financial statement analysis information, and has a lot of easy to use tools to make credit analysis very easy. If you don't believe how important credit analysis is, think back to the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. Arguably, this past recession was caused due to poor credit analysis. If you think back to the individual securities that were center of the problem, mortgage-backed securities, credit default obligations, and credit default swaps, quite simply, investors that were purchasing these securities had no idea the levels of risk that were involved. All the way down from the fundamental core of the securitization process, a lot of homeowners were getting loans that they simply could not afford. As a result, as homeowners stopped being able to pay the bills and these securities defaulted, many banks and investors were left with toxic assets on their balance sheet. As a result, the government and the Federal Reserve were forced to implement credit measures in order to stimulate the economy and get things back on its track. So hopefully, Moody's KMV will be able to paint a bigger picture of why credit analysis is important, how to conduct credit analysis, and at the end of the day, before making an investment, if you sit in the shoes of the lender, your goal with using KMV is to determine how likely it is that you're going to get paid back. Going over Credit Edge, which is offered in KMV 101, you'll learn about the expected default frequency, what is the prime metric in determining how risky a company is. You'll look at the different components of that EDF metric and see how the variables interact and perform over a certain given period of time and see how the EDF changes over that period of time. At the end, you'll flip the table and see how companies can use KMV internally to really get a better idea of how they can make their company less risky, how their companies compare to other industry leaders or companies operating in that industry, and at the end, go through a case study to see how you can improve your company's financial situation and maybe secure a better interest rate. When coming into the lab, if you ever want to take a look at our software, it's very easy to use. You can scroll through a PowerPoint of Moody's KMV or 102 offered on the Mill Public Space. Just scroll down to KMV. There's PowerPoint for 101, 102. In that PowerPoint, there'll be login information that'll teach you how to log in and successfully navigate the software interface. Here I'm at Credit Edge, offered once again in KMV 101. Once the website loads, it's time to log in. Moody's recently unleashed a completely new Credit Edge website and interface. To access this interface, click the blue box that says Visit the new website. Next, we're going to look at the right hand side and click User Login and enter the credentials we found on the Moody's KMV 101 PowerPoint. Once logged in, you'll find an easy-to-use interface that's much more advanced and integrative than the interface you used before. If you look at the top here, you'll see several different options and areas we can explore. My Portfolios, which gives you the ability to access a group of companies, put them in a portfolio, and analyze their credit performance over time. Chart Builder, which lets us look at specific companies, portfolios, and chart everything from stock performance to certain credit metrics like EDF, expected default frequency, and market leverage. We can use the screener function to screen for companies and bonds once we input a given criteria. The Report Builder to generate reports on given companies and portfolios and export that information to Excel, which we can later manipulate using the Credit Edge Excel plugin. And Market Movers tab is essentially just a tab that allows you to view your portfolio and your Credit Edge stocks that you're watching and see which ones are moving the most and which one has had the most activity over the past day. So just to show you a brief example of how the screening function works, we can just go right over to Screener. Type in an industry you might be interested in. Let's go with aerospace and defense. Look at a credit metric that we're interested in. Let's say we're looking for aerospace defense companies with an EDF between 2 and 5%. Scroll down to screen. And you'll see on a really easy to use graph, we have market leverage on the x-axis, asset volatility on the y-axis, and you can see a list of companies that meet our description. Now, if we want to go ahead and change the display, we can go ahead and put, let's say we want to compare by sales. And Moody's KMV will automatically populate and rearrange the results that we have. If you go up to the top, we can take one of these companies and look at how they performed over time. In this case, if you want to look at Apple, just type in AAPL, close. Let's say we want to look at their share price. We can add their share price, and we can see as of May 2013 to May 14th how Apple stock has performed. If we want to add a credit metric like leverage, we can go ahead and just type that into the search bar, click leverage, and now we can see how Apple's leverage has compared with their stock price over time. Moody's Analytics' new interface is extremely powerful and easy to use. Right now, we've just completely unveiled a new Credit Edge tutorial, KMV 101, here in the lab. Feel free to stop by anytime, take the tutorial, and learn a lot more about the interface and all the other analytical tools that you can use. So we look forward to having you sign up on the Mill website and stop it in next time you're available. Thanks for your time and hope you have a great day.